Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch, with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I know there's so many wonderful Flosstubers, including a ton of new ones that are really very interesting. So I do appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you like what you see, and hit like and subscribe, and feel free to ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. I tell you all the time how much I appreciate you, and I really truly do. Those are not empty words. It brings me such joy to be able to share stitching and crafting and all of this with you, and I am just so thrilled to have met so many stitchy friends all over the world, and it really is fulfilling, and it's a big part of my life. So thank you so much. I've made some really good friends through the process, so thank you. It is very rainy and dreary here. This is probably about the fourth time or fifth time, I don't even know, that I've said my intro, and it's not even like there's anything hard to say about the intro, but I've got a little bit of a slow start this morning. And yeah, so we're just gonna take it as it is. Settle in, grab your stitching, maybe your tea or coffee or whatever you happen to be drinking, and let's hopefully have a nice chat. It is also a little chillier here today. I am not in the least bit overheated wearing the long sleeves and the fleecy vest, so that'll tell you what it's like here. We've gone backwards. I feel like we're in March now, and we've already experienced the end of April, beginning of May. So we'll see. Hopefully the weather turns for me soon, and hopefully it's nice wherever you are. Alrighty, so I have, because I did an event this weekend, I have lots of projects to show you. I have a scrapbook page finish, or a full finish of a cross-stitch piece that I made into a scrapbook page. And then I had a quick question for feedback. I have been noticing when I've been watching Flosstubers recently, probably over the last maybe month, I am finding that almost all, not all of them, but almost all of them, I am getting ads every 4 to 5 minutes in their videos. And I have always gone back, and I'm fanatical about it now. I go and I check, because there's a section where you can say do not do mid-video ads, and I always have that checked because I've got this fear that YouTube's gonna uncheck it, and then you're gonna be stuck with ads. My videos are longer, so that would be a lot of ads to have to switch through. So can you tell me, are you experiencing any in my videos mid-reel? I know at the very beginning, and remember, you can just hit skip ads and just end them quickly. But mid-video, are you getting any? Because I do have that button checked. And if you are, I would like to follow up with YouTube and find out what's happening, because it's just all of a sudden. So I don't know if YouTube's doing it or if they've changed and they're automatically unclicking things that you need to check. So if that feedback would be great, if you could give that to me, that would be awesome. Alrighty, so I have one full finish, and I did it as a scrapbook page. When I stitched it, I didn't necessarily know what I'd be doing with it. I just liked it. That's what I am as a stitcher. I stitch what I want, when I want, and I pick patterns I like, regardless of whether or not they would go in my decor or color or schemes or whatever. It's just what I happen to like. And so what I stitched was the Suffrage Act, and I don't know, was this Little House, Plum Street? It's one of those, I think. I'm almost sure. And I stitched this on, I think this is a coffee tea dyed from me. That was the first thing I tried to do when I got into the idea of away from just your white, cream and black. I tried to do the coffee tea dyeing, and then I found hand dyeing fabrics, and the rest is history. But I wanted to keep this one super simple, especially because it's almost the size of this page. So I knew I wanted the navy blue because that would just pull out the colors. And then I know the red in this is a little bit deeper, but I pulled out, for my Stampin' Up! Friends, it's real red, which I really do enjoy. And I just wanted to set off the colors with that. And sometimes I like to do like a full layer on layer, but this one is so tight to the margins that I decided I just wanted to do it the length this way, have a pop of color, and you're good to go. Now, a lot of times you've seen me with my cross stitch pieces in the scrapbook, for example, this direction, but don't be afraid to put them in the other direction. Anybody flipping through, all they have to do is turn their head, right? So if I have these two next to each other, for example, if somebody wanted to look at it, all they would have to do is go like that. And then they flip. Super easy. I can take these in and out however I want to do them. And that's good to go. If you would like to see a really lovely suffragette being stitched right now in progress, Megan, the Seattle stitcher, she is currently stitching on this one. I'm almost sure. I am 99% sure that that is her Flosstube name. And I am finally, I brought myself a pad of paper, a pencil and a piece of paper so that I can write down who I'm talking about. So I don't have to go back and try to figure out who I need to link. But she has got, well, she's got lovely, lovely stitching. And, but she is doing this one, and she's doing it in some of the original colors for the US suffragettes. So it's kind of neat. It's a kind of a different take on it, but it's really lovely. So I will link her down below if you've not watched, but she's got awesome projects besides that, but that one is in progress if you'd like to see it done by her. Okay, so the only other thing that I'm jumping into my stitching now. That was all I had for the paper crafting this week. I always say I'm going to try to do more, but this week was a weird week, and it was kind of busier than I thought it would be, and I didn't get I got my crafting time in for the most part. A lot of it was over the weekend. During the week, I don't know what happened. The week just went by and I woke up and it was Friday morning. But this weekend I did participate in Whip Frenzy, which is a event that was held by the Whip Warriors group. They used to be called No New Starts. It's a closed Facebook group. They will open up at I assume, because that's how I got in last year, was they opened up, I don't know if it was November and/or December, or if it was almost closer to December. I'll let you know when they do open up. They do a lot of games and things because it's the type of thing that participation is required. And you can just do a album and have them check your albums, but you do need to update that as well. But if you like that kind of stuff, it's been fun. And Whip Frenzy is basically touch as many of your projects for between 1 to 200 stitches over the course of a certain amount of time. And it was this past weekend that they did it. And I don't know if they purposely corresponded it with 24 hours of cross stitch, which was this weekend. I'm not sure I got my designated 12. I'd have to go back and count my stitches and see how much I stitched, because I don't count time, I count stitches. But I would say I probably, if I didn't get 12, I got at least 10 over Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if I had to guess. I'm trying to think if we had anything major going on. Not really. So I probably did. But anyway, so you're going to see 12 projects this week, and 11 of them were done during Whip Frenzy. And this first one, my full coverage, I didn't do, but I figured I'll just show it to you first, and then you'll see all the projects otherwise. Some of them at that point over the weekend got only about 100 stitches. Some of them 200, and I think 1 or 2 went over. But then during the course of this week, I added more stitches. So that's why I was able to show a little bit more progress with some of them. But let's get going because we've got lots to talk about. Okay, so let's start with my full coverage piece first. And I want to just double check that I have, yes, okay. I want to make sure I give credit to who created this picture. So I did another week's worth of Bottled Beauty. You did see this last week, but I hadn't given it a lot of time. And I knew over the weekend I wasn't really going to stitch full coverage. So I just said this week I would just do it again. So this one will get put away now today. And I think I know what I'm pulling out next, but I'm not 100% sure. This is charted by Cross Stitch for Everyone. And I'm pretty sure in the description box below, I link that. They are an Etsy shop. And it is charted by them, and it's designed by, the art is by Fun Digital, is who owns the copyright to the art. So isn't that beautiful? Now, what you're going to see, I'm up top. Like I've said before, I think I said it last week, I cannot wait to get to those blues. I can't wait. But right now, sky and dark, portions of the sky. So it doesn't look anything like the beach-ish scene it's gonna be. Here we go. That's what I got. It's not gonna be a huge piece. Well, when I hold it like that, it's upside down and you're seeing the back. That's the cut piece of fabric. Now, this week, if you've been with me for any amount of time, I think you've figured out for my full coverages, I really like to get to an edges. And so, and a lot of times, like for this one, I think this is 5 pages across, but I want to say the pages are a little bit bigger than some of my, or the pattern is a little bit bigger. So it might be less than that, say if it was a heaven and earth or a different person charting. So this is all the way to the edge. This is how wide it's going to be at this point. So I spent time doing a little bit of everything, but one of my main things was to come all the way across so that I had some sort of idea. I think there's this, well, and I obviously messed up somehow with Hidden Harbor because I'm only going to have like an inch border on one side, but there's this fear that I haven't measured correctly. And not counting that one, I measure 2, 3, 4 times, even before I cut sometimes. And then I measure again to make sure I'm starting it in the right orientation. But there's this lingering fear that I'd spend all this time on a piece and then not have enough fabric. So I have a feeling what may happen next is when I get back to this piece, I may then go all the way down this way. So this way I'll have all the, 3 of the 4 corners, so I know how far I've gotten. But so far, lots of deep, deep colors for that kind of dark sky look. And then we'll slowly get down to the more vibrant colors. My full coverages, when I do them, I mean, I do 18 count. You're going to see 120 count. Otherwise, everything is 18 count. But this is 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross. It's really the only way I've tried full coverage, but I do enjoy it. So why change it if I enjoy it, right? So this one will get put away. I do try to give them 1,000 stitches or so when I'm working on them so that I feel like I've gotten some progress and then move on to the next one. So, like I said, I think I know, but I don't know yet. So I don't want to say which one I'm working on until sometimes, when stitch what you want when you want. I really do take it to heart because it really is a last minute decision sometimes. All right, so the next piece that I pulled out, I had talked about this last week. I had worked on it for an Earth Day pop-up challenge on the magazine monthly cross stitch challenge. It's the Earth Laughs from Jan Hicks Creates. That's what it looks like. And I did get my 500 stitches for the pop-up challenge, and then I forgot to, on Saturday night, I forgot to take the picture and upload it. So I have the starting picture on my event post for that event, and I never put the ending picture. I don't know if it's worth it going back because that was a separate event rather than in the actual discussion area of the group. So you get to see it now, even if I don't show it there. But here we go. So this is my only 20 count. This is 20 count ice blue fabric from To Die For Fabrics, and I am using 1 strand. So that's what it looks like with the 1 strand. And I am using the Cosmo, I never know if it's Cosmo or Cosmos floss. Let's see if it says it here. I don't know because I'm looking at it on 1, 2, 3 Stitch and it is temporarily out of stock. So they don't tell you what the floss is. I don't know if 1, 2, 3 Stitch sells Cosmo, so maybe that's why they don't. But anyway, this is where it is. And I did all of that flower for the event, and then I came down here. I did carry down the border. It's a pretty easy repeating border. So I did that, did some of the flower here and the butterfly. I had stitched this butterfly in the color of the words. Now, if it had been one of the other colors that was more butterfly-ish, I probably could have gotten away with it. That was one of the few colors that it just wasn't going to work. So I had to pull all that out. And even with 1 strand stitching, taking out stitches is hard. And then the words. So this, I know it doesn't look like a ton, but this was a lot right here, and then just plugging along. But there is over 500 stitches from the last time you saw it. And I, for size purposes, the 18 count was going to be a little bit too big for, say, a 12 by 12. So I did use the 20, and the 20 will come in because it's 161 by 166, if you were curious. And there is a DMC alternative in the pattern. So if you did not want to use the Cosmo, it was just kind of curiosity on my part, and they weren't super expensive. I found them on a shop on Etsy, and I was able to order all of them. And so that's how I did it. And they're nice. Will I drop them for DMCs? Probably not, but it's been a nice experiment, if nothing else. So there it is. Now this one may get put away at this point, but I'm glad I've taken it out. I seem to, and I probably should just keep going with it because I seem to get a little bit better with the one strand when I keep doing it. There's a fantastic tutorial from, Needlebug, that is loop start with one strand, and it was a lifesaver for me when it came to this project, and that's how I start my one strands. And if I do any other projects with one strand, that is how I'm going to do it always. It's fairly easy even for me because I stitch lefty and most things are shown in the righty, but I was able to switch it without a problem and do it. So if I remember, I'll link it. Sometimes I forget. Let me write myself a note here so that we know. Loop start tutorial. So this way, if you are interested with it, and it's the one strand loop start. Okay, moving on. I pulled out. So now, starting with Earth Laughs down, all of these did get some stitching time over the weekend, and then throughout the week, I went back to all of them and added some more stitches so that they'd get a little bit more work. Easy Spring. This is Cottage Garden. I always mess up there's the gardens and the cottages and the creeks, and I get them all confused after a while. But that's what this one looks like. This is Time for All Seasons series number 5. I want to say that was 2 years ago, the series. Love this. Love it. Mine's a little bit different because I used a different color fabric. But I am still using all of the same flosses. So look at that. I love this fabric. This is 18 count light Seaglass from To Die For Fabrics. In fact, you're going to see it in a future project near the end of this grouping of projects that I worked on. So I spent pretty much all of my week working on all of the different petals and just coming down there. And that's over 500 stitches. But there are nice chunks. The hardest part is doing the inside of the flowers because that's the really intensive counting part of it. Up here, I think I want to add a little bit of, say, a petite treasure blade or a toile or something up there so those sparkle a little bit. I haven't 100% figured that out, what I'm using yet. So that's why I'm stitching everything but, because those will be easy stitches, I think. It's not hard stitching up there. So there it is. This one will come out periodically. It's nice because it's a good zoom piece because there are chunks, except for this middle. I wouldn't try to, unless I did the outside of it and then just filled in the color. I wouldn't zoom with that part, but a lot of the other things I can do this on a zoom and I can count without making huge mistakes. What piece did I work on? I'm looking at my list here. There was something I worked on and I was making mistakes left, right, and center. And it was kind of, I just shook my head at myself. I'm not exactly sure why or whatever I was doing with that. All right, next. This is a super cutie one. It's small. It is 61 by 65. It is Resting Beach Face from Hands on Design. Love it. My fabric's a tiny bit darker than this one, but I did go with the blue. I know, you're shocked. Me and blue. Love my blues. So here it is. This is 18 count Dive In from Bestitchme. Now it's a pretty bright-ish sort of blue, so you know, I think looking at it, if you were to get it, you might be like, oof, what am I gonna do? This is the second piece I have stitched using it. It is really nice for things like beachy or something you just want a little bit brighter blue for. I am using all of the DMC alternative. Actually, it is all DMC. Excuse me. This one is all charted in DMC. So I am just using everything that's called for. Super cute. And as I had said before, I don't necessarily know if I'm going to stitch the white where the words are. I'm going to stitch everything and see what it looks like. One person did suggest maybe doing that part in one strand so that it's not, because sometimes when I, you know, filling in those areas, I find it the white's kind of too bulky, but the one strand might really make the letters pop but not add the bulk. So I might try that. I'll finish it first and see what I think. And then I'll go from there. So we'll see. But it's fun. It's a cute little stitch. Fun, bright colors. I love the different pinks and reds that are in that one. They're a lot of fun. Speaking of fun pinks and reds, this next one here is From the Heart, Needleart by Wendy, and it's Quaker Bloom. Now, isn't that beautiful? Now, having said that, I changed the fabric, and when I changed the fabric, those colors of floss they just looked a little less than. I don't even know exactly how to explain it, but a little tired, like they needed some energy. So I took the same basic colors and I just popped them a little bit, and I made them a little bit bolder and a little bit brighter. And that's what I came up with. I will, in the description box below, give the information on what colors of DMCs I did use. So all of that is down below if you were interested in any of the colors. I finally pulled out all of these because they were done in, I had picked all the color changes, and then I picked a pink, which then I promptly didn't like after I had stitched all three of those. So I had one more to unstitch, and I did that. And so everything now is the color that I am using. So much fun. I really like the bright boldness of it. This is an 18 count Summer Storm from To Die For Fabrics. Now this was a fabric with To Die For right now. They are in the process of updating all of their dyed colors. So their blues right now, at the moment, I did not see it on their main website, but her blues, there's a lot of empty spots. So I don't know what she's keeping and what she's not. But she was great because I was looking for another color, a different one. And I didn't see it on her website. So I reached out and I said, hey, I have this fabric that I really wanted more of because I love it. And Kimberly is fantastic. If you wanted to reach out to her about custom colors, she's wonderful and really good with the colors. And so she said, I'm changing the dye on some of my different fabrics. Let me see what I can do. And she played around, dyed up a piece. I'll be curious to put them to see how close, but it looks fantastic on the screen. So she had put it on her Etsy shop, and I snapped it before anybody else could get it. So the moral though is that she's in the process of updating everything. So if some of these colors you don't see, wait at least until May 1st. And you know, I'm not exactly sure from after May 1st how long all of the updating will take. But also, if you knew a color name and you did want to ask about it, she's very responsive and really wonderful. But this is a fantastic blue. I'm hoping it's still there. Or if not, she can replicate it with another one. It holds the colors really nicely and really makes them pop. So that's where that one is. Again, a nice one for some chunks of color. I could zoom with this one. The only thing that I'm going to wait on the word bloom. I want to see what it looks like without it. She does provide an alphabet, so I could do something else instead if I wanted to. So we'll see. I don't know yet. or I could add another flower or something along those lines, I guess. We'll see. So more to come on that one at some point. All right, next. This one I love doing in the car, or I love doing it when it's a monochromatic, so it's fantastic for all sorts of types of stitching. And it is my Summer Quaker from Jardin Prive. And I realized I need to get this done before the first day of summer because that's when Beth from the Steadfast Stitcher, and I'm going to write down Beth's name, and a bunch of other people, and when we get closer, I'll figure out who exactly is doing it, but a bunch of us on the first day of summer are starting Summer Quaker from Leela Studios. So I need to finish this Summer Quaker so I don't confuse myself on which one I'm doing and stuff. And I think I could. If I generally have either stitching time, car stitching time, or beach stitching, or it could even be a Zoom piece. I could put this one on for Zooms. So that's what it looks like. If you've not seen all four, you can put them all together. I'm not. I am stitching all four though. And you obviously can choose whatever color you want. She does give a suggestion if you want to take it. I am stitching them all in DMC 823 and just different base fabrics. And here's my summer. I wanted that bright summer. And when I got this fabric from Bestitchme, I think it was a fabric of the month. It's called My Sunshine and it's 18 count. I knew right away exactly that I wanted to use this for my summer version of this Quaker set. So there it is. I did this little guy right here, the bee. I finished, I want to see, over here. I did some more fill in here. I worked, so I went back and forth. The top, I double checked. Everything is done from the top up. There is a little intricate sort of, not super intricate, but do you see that there? I've been kind of going around that one because depending on if I'm in the car or if I'm zooming, that one is going to require more attention and counting. So I've kind of done more of the stuff that's more blocky instead. But I have loved this series. I have not gotten tired of it. Each one is made up of Quakers and different things, but they're not exactly the same. So it feels like each one is a separate piece without a lot of repetitiveness. Even here down at the bottom, each of them has kind of like a little town scene, but every single one of them is a different scene. So it's really kind of nice. And if you were to look at them all this way, what finishes, not all the pieces, but some of the pieces, what finishes on one side of one of the seasons, then the second half is on the other season. So that's kind of neat if you did want to do some sort of full long piece. And they do give measurements if that's something you wanted to do all the way across. But I love it. I love how easy it is to work on. I love the monochromatic. I have two monochromatics going right now. And I wouldn't necessarily want to do monochromatic only, but I really do enjoy them quite a bit. And ironically, the second one is right behind the first. And you know what I didn't take out? Let me see if I can find it right away. Here we go, the cover page. This is a digital, but it's black and white, and I'm doing it in black, so I think it's fine. This next one is my black vintage sampler from Owl Forest Embroidery. I saw that Owl Forest, I believe, is doing they just released a new mystery stitch along. I think it's free, but don't quote me on that. I don't remember. And I can visualize it in my head, but I can't remember the details with it because I did see it. So if you are interested, if you like mystery stitch alongs, I myself prefer to have them done. So I like to be able to see what I'm stitching and then go from there. So mysteries don't always work for me. But if you really like them, go check it out and see if it's something you'd want to stitch. But this is what I'm working on. And I am using, not 310, I'm using Anchor Black, but I am using black on this. I really wanted to use the black and then just find a really fun fabric color. And I love this. I love this color every time I stitch on it. And I don't know how far down I'm gonna go, but I'm probably gonna use most of the fabric. This is on the side, how far over it goes. So you can see there'll be a little bit left on this side. Maybe I can stitch up some trading cards or some stuff like that, but most likely won't be able to do it. Maybe a tiny ornament or something. And we'll see at the bottom. But this is, what is this? 18 count rainy day. Very appropriate for today. From Bestitchme. And I just keep filling in. So you can see I did extend. I had some time where it was lighter because I'm finding some of this pattern, maybe it's the way, because I printed off of my printer. I don't know if whatever shade of ink it is. At night, I find it's a little bit harder for me to see unless I have really, really good lighting, but even then, sometimes it's tough. But during the day, unless I'm doing something like a blocky. So I keep plugging away at the house. One of these days, the house will be finished. It's big, and it's between pages, so I also kind of put it off at that point too. But we're plugging along on it. So that's where I am. And you generally do see this just about every week because I really do like to use this as a zoom piece. It's a little big for me to do as a car piece, even though it is monochromatic. Maybe if I was just beach stitching, because if it's nice but not like super nice, I go to the beach and I sit in my car and I stitch. And I have the windows slightly open so I can hear the waves and maybe a little bit of a breeze. And where I sit, I'm generally out of direct sunlight, but it is nice and bright, so it's kind of nice. So I would probably still bring Summer Quaker with me, but that would be an option if I absolutely wanted to. Alrighty, now this next piece right here, what I was doing for 25/7, 25 minutes a day, 7 days a week, I put aside because I do want to get this one stitched and finished on a more of a faster basis. This is Philadelphia, and it is from Awesome Pattern Studio. When I went to look for this pattern to show you today, they also, I believe, have it in diamond painting, but it's actually a little bit bigger, and there is like a bust and some other stuff underneath here. So if you like to diamond paint and you wanted one of Philadelphia, that is an option. And I do link them in the description box. So that's what it looks like. And I'm stitching this because Megan is, when she graduates, she's moving to Philly, and that's where she'll be working. So here it is. It's a pretty quick stitch. So I've been giving it 25 minutes a day. Over the weekend, if I did stitch on it for, well, it did get at least the 100 stitches. I think I did it Saturday and Sunday, but I did 100 each day, just so I could kind of keep the idea of 25/7. But for the most part, I'm just doing it small amounts of time each day, and there's nice chunks of color. This right here building is a nice good chunk of long color, and then so on from there. But this is almost, so that's as high as it's gonna go. This is the outer edge here, and I have a few down here. So you can see it's not gonna be a huge piece. And this is an 18 count Nantucket Sky from Fabrics by Stephanie. Now I don't know, I always like to say, I don't necessarily know what any of these colors look like in other counts. I have the 18 counts most of the time. It is one of my favorite fabrics if I want to do an outdoor scene. So when I stitched Amsterdam from Satsuma Street, I used the same exact fabric. And anything along those lines, because it has wispyish sort of cloud looking. So if you wanted it, when this is done, you know, I'll probably have some of that showing. So it's almost like clouds in the sky behind the city. And it's a lovely blue, again, in the 18 count. And I just love it. I better check my stash because that's one of those. You know how you have some favorite colors that you absolutely have to make sure you always have because they are your go-tos. And this is one of my go-tos. As soon as I kitted this and saw it and said I'm going to stitch this, I knew exactly what fabric I was going to use. So you will see this every week until it's done. Megan graduates in a few weeks. I don't know if it could be done by then. And if she would like it, I can do it as a frame and she can have it for her apartment. If she doesn't, that's fine. No biggie. What I'll do is I will put it in the scrapbook, and I'll add some pictures. So at some point down the road, when she inherits the scrapbook, not only will she have the stitch piece, but she'll have some picture memories of her very first apartment with her first job out of college. So that's kind of fun too. So there it is. And we'll see how far I can get next week before you see it. Alrighty, I've been putting these back as I go along. A little bit easier to clean up. Now this one was my 25/7 until I decided to stitch on the Philadelphia piece. This one got work this weekend for Whip Frenzy, and now it's going to be put away. I know I said that last week when I said I was switching my 25/7, but I thought this one would be a good one to do over the weekend for the event, and it would get a few more stitches in. It is on the beach, and is Stitchrovia, and it's going to be stitched on, you'll see it on 18 count beach sand from To Die For fabrics. And I chose that one, I think, especially when I cut down the edges, it'll be fun because I wanted, you know, I mean, they're laying on the sand, so I kind of wanted that color as a background. And like I said, all of this will be cut off. This will probably get scrapbooked. I think I have some fun beach papers and different colors. And I mean, you can bring out the blues, it'd be beautiful. But that's where I am. And this is it. That's this, plus a little fill-ins here and there, whatever, and a little back stitching. But this, man, this is full coverage, and it is taking me a while. So if I fold it over, there we go. Helen D stitched this, and Helen was smart. She started with that water, so she got it done and didn't have to worry about it anymore. I, of course, am finishing with the water. I like to start generally from the top left corner and work my way down. I did get a question from somebody asking me if I railroad. So basically, if I, because it's 2 strands, if I split the strands and put the needle down through, I don't generally on the bottom leg, and I'd say maybe 50% of the time I do on the top leg. It really kind of just depends how the floss is looking, how my stitches are looking. Certain colors, the lighter colors, I feel like I railroad more often than the darker because they twist more. And so basically what I do more than I railroad is if I've got my needle, I drop it, I let it untwist, I straighten it out, and it's more the twisting that's an issue for me. And I'll be completely honest with you, I don't care if my stitches are a little wonky. It doesn't bother me in the least. One, if you're looking at it from a distance, you will never know. And even most people looking at it in a cross stitch scrapbook or framed or wherever, even if you're looking at it closer up, most of them aren't necessarily going to try to pick out the stitch that doesn't lay flat. So for me, it's the joy of the stitching, and I don't worry about the small stuff kind of thing. But I actually do with some colors, most definitely railroad. If it splits nicely, and I will railroad, but it's not something that I do 100% of the time. So thank you for the question. And I don't know, maybe I was going to say maybe I should, but you know what? I'm happy the way I'm doing it, so why should I change? So there it is. This will get put aside, but I do want to not put it in the back of all of my projects and just let it go. Because maybe when Philadelphia is done, I'll go back to this one and for a month do it as a 25/7 again and see how much I can get done in a month. Because it's one of those that it would be a shame. Very often you'll watch somebody on Flosstube and they'll say, I was so close to a finish and then I put it away, and then they pull it out and just get the finish done. And invariably they say, I don't know why I didn't just finish the stitch, you know, it was so close. Now, there's still a decent amount of work on this, even though it's that small corner, but it's the same concept. I'm at the end right now. In fact, okay, there's, I think, a beach ball that I have to stitch, but that's actually easier. The water itself is 2 colors I'm working with. So it's not even like I have 17 different colors in that small section. So I really don't want to let it go. It sat for a while. Some of my others have sat, but I pick and choose which battle I'm going to do, so to speak, like which one I really want to focus on. And so I'm really hoping that it'd be nice to get that one finished this year. even by the end of this summer. We'll see. Again, maybe I put it as a focus when Philly is done for, say, 30 days, then do something else, then go back to it, and that kind of thing. We'll see. Okay, moving on. The next one that I picked up was my Ireland piece, and this is started and created by Vlada Xstitch. They have both an Etsy shop and a standalone, and I believe I link both of them down below so that you can check them out. I always do like to support and create traffic to the standalones for many, well, I was going to say designers, but crafters or small business owners in general, because there's the dilemma when you have an Etsy shop. You keep the Etsy shop because you have the in-person traffic, but Etsy, you know, charges you 6 ways to Sunday or whatever the expression is. You know what I mean? Like they charge you for everything and they nickel and dime you. So then, you know, the crafter or the small business owner creates their own website, their standalone, but then they have to create their own traffic, which is extremely difficult in this world, which is why you will see so many things linked below, because when I can create a backlink for them, it is something out there that will help them in their rankings for their standalone. So it's super important to me, even if you don't necessarily click on it, that I do as much as I can to support them, to help them build their traffic sources as well for their business. I had an Etsy shop and a standalone, so I know all about trying to deal with all of that. And I was online for over 12 years with paper crafts and paper crafting. So I understand how hard it is to have these shops, which is why I try so hard to support them as much as possible. But anyway, I digress. Vlada Xstitch, wonderful, wonderful patterns, all sorts of things to stitch. I am not stitching the word Ireland. I know what I'm stitching. I think this one, it'd be nice to be able to accompany it with some pictures. We'll see. Maybe it's on one side and then have it be a 2-page spread and the pictures on the other. We'll see. This is done on an 18 count champagne by hand dyed by Rolanda. And you're not even gonna be able to see it. I did start to get into the clouds with the white. If it was by itself on this fabric, you wouldn't see it. But if you look here, you can see it's gonna be surrounded by all sorts of colors. So it will pop in the end. I'm still debating on changing out some of these greens. I just haven't gotten there yet. I'm pushing that down the road until I absolutely have to do it. I am, though, out of, I think now I've completely done with the the darkest of the blues. Now we're going in the lighter blues with the whites for the clouds and the lighter sky. And then I'll be digging down into the green and the other parts. So this one is nice because it is kind of chunks of color. It is charted very easily to see the different pieces and parts of the pattern. So it's a nice one for stitching. So I have no specific idea or deadline or guideline on when that one will continue to come out. I just happen to pull it when I feel like it. Alrighty, now let me flip this over so I can see. Okay, 2 more. This next one has not gotten much time this month. And I just think, I suspect, and I will continue to start these each month, but I suspect it's because there is a certain repetitive nature to these. And so I'll do the start and I'll get a little bit, but I have a feeling that next year might be more of the focus with them. And hopefully I could get tired of them and have to do just a little bit. This could be an ongoing project for a while, even though it might not be. I love this series, but like many of the 12-month series, it does get a little repetitive because it's the same general idea. And so I do get slightly tired of it, but I love these. These are the 12 months of the year, but they never say the month, which is fantastic. So they can really go for seasons. If you were decorating with these, you could do these for a full spring season, for example, or a different summer season, or whatever it happens to be, different times a year for a holiday or whatever, without being stuck with it just being the month. This one happens to be April's Daisy, and these are also Cottage Garden samplings. And this, like I said, was a 12-month. If you were to purchase January, This one doesn't show you. So it's the My Garden Journal series. And in the January pattern, she actually did provide another, a little tiny pattern that says My Garden Journal. And she has them almost in like a mini scrapbook form. Not necessarily like I have them in my scrapbooks. It's a smaller thing, and it's just its own standalone little book for the 12 months. So if you wanted to do something and you wanted the words My Garden Journal, it is in the January one. So that's what it looks like. You know that I've generally been changing out the fabrics. And because I changed this one, I do have to make a tiny change. You can see here, so the bunny is in just, I don't know if it's 3865 or whatever it happens to be. But then you'll notice here, there's some white sections, especially up top here, and then down a little bit on the side here. It's not white. It's a very palish blue. I think I'm going to change that. So here's what I've got. This is 18 count, the light Seaglass again from To Die For Fabrics. Again, really pretty color. And white itself, if you look, white shows up nicely. But then here, I don't know if you can even see it. In person, it's almost impossible for me to see it. The blue kind of blends into kind of the greenish of the Seaglass. So I think what I'm going to do, because in the bottom here, you'll notice this border is the two different greens. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the two different greens all the way around the border. The other thing that they did in the chart was for the flowers here, the white flowers, they're actually white and that light blue. Well, I looked and I brought this thing, took my glasses off, put it up to my face. I could not for the life of me tell that there was two different colors stitched there. So I said, why in the world would I do that if I can't even see it on the model? So these are all just going to be stitched. There's 3 white daisies. So I'll stitch those all just the one color. The center, of course, will have the different shades. And then there are 2 yellowish and orangish ones, and I'll do the different color changes there. So I am taking one of those colors completely out of the pattern and just concentrating white for the flowers and the double greens on the border. And I did change out one of the greens, and I believe it's in the description box below if you want to see it. But I thought the rain was cute, so I wanted to get that in. I worked more in this area over here. Plus, I had to do some evaluating of colors. And I don't know about you, but when I stitch something and I get to a point where I'm like, ooh, that color is just not going to work. Whether the shade doesn't work or it's too light or too dark or whatever it is, it takes me a little time to really kind of think about it and figure out what I want to do. And so that kind of sets me back stitching time as well. So this piece it definitely got the 100 stitches. I don't know how close it got to 200, to be honest with you. And the very last piece I stitched on this week was Pappy In Summer from Crocetta Go-Go. So there it is. I've done the daisies one, and I think there's a third, but I'm just going to do the 2, and I'm probably going to have them in a facing each other layout side by side on the scrapbook. They are slightly different fabrics. I didn't have the same fabric, I think, enough for something. So, but they are both along the neutral lines. This one is an 18 count Old West from Color and Cotton. And I did a combination. I did some border. Again, it's one of those kind of repetitive, but you do have to kind of pay attention a little bit more. It's a really pretty lace looking border once it's done. And then I think I filled in a little flower, and then I really concentrated. This flower was not done at all. So I started working on that one. So that's where that one is. And again, this one just comes out whenever I feel like it, on and off. The biggest part of this job will be the border. And I don't mind it, but I kind of get tired of it after a while, which is why I jump back and forth between the border and the flower, just so that I can, you know, not be stuck with just the border left, because then I don't know if I'd keep putting that one back and back and back and not concentrate on it. So never get done. So that is, that's my stitching for this week. I won't have as many pieces this coming week. I mean, 12 pieces is a lot, even for me, even though I touch usually between about 9-ish or so a week, because I have my 25/7 and I have my full coverage, and then I just switch around from other pieces as well, because I like to give as much attention to pieces as possible. But that, because the whole idea was to touch as many as possible, that's how I got it. One person, the person who actually got the most in the event, she touched 30 pieces over the weekend with a minimum of 100 stitches on each one. She definitely hit the 24 hours of cross stitch, I would say. All right, so that's it. Plans for May. I have over the last 21, 22, 2020, I think for 3 years, I've done Mania. All 3 times it was different. And I had different ways of doing it and tackling it, and none of them were the traditional original way. But this year, May just came up on me really, really fast. I don't know what happened. I can't believe it's May 1st on Monday. It's here. And to be honest, I just decided I didn't want to worry about it. You know, I've got other things that I'm doing this year with working on the different games from Whip Warriors, and if there's pop-ups or there's things, and I'm just enjoying the way I'm doing things. So I just said, not worrying about Mania. So these 2 pieces I had said when I talked to you about my parade of pieces to start, my start parade at the end of last year, these were the 2 I designated for May. And I need to find, fabric pieces for both of these. If I do that, then I'm all set. But I don't have a specific fabric set for either one of them. So I'm doing, of course, my monthly. So I'm doing May's Lily of the Valley. Isn't that pretty? I like that. And then I am doing the Wizard of Oz tree from Tiny Modernist. And I do want to, I was thinking so Fabrics by Stephanie has a sea foam. And I was thinking that one. But it's very, very light, and you can see there's different white pieces stitched here and there. So I don't think that'll work, because I don't think the white will go up on all of that. The light seafoam might be nice, but I don't think I have enough. I'll have to measure. This is a 142 by 190. So it's big enough, to be honest with you. So we'll see on that one. So I have to go through. I think my lighter greens is where I want to find just the sweet spot, and maybe a honeydew melon. We'll see. I do have all the flosses for it pulled already. I'm doing all the DMCs. They give you an anchor here too if you wanted. But so I'll just do a floss toss on that one. But I love this one. It's so super cute, and I'm looking forward to it, actually. So those are the 2 that I have slated as starts for this month, as long as I can figure out the fabric. That's the hardest part. I enjoy that part, but I find what becomes difficult for me is I have something in my head visualized. And I mean, color has so many different shades and gradations that I'll pull out pieces and I'll be like, that's just a tiny bit too light, and that's a tiny bit too dark, or a little bit too blue, or a little bit too gray. You know, I mean, so sometimes I create more work for myself. I'll just put this over here because I don't necessarily find exactly what I wanted, but that's all right. So this week I also want to finish Scattergories, which is a monthly event in Whip Warriors, and the letter was H. So I have to look through. I don't have all 12 categories figured out. I think I have about 9 of them that I can fit into prompts this month. So I just have to figure out where my starting pictures are and what my ending pictures are, and get some stitching on a few of those. So you might see some of those next week. And then I don't know what the letter for May is yet. They generally don't do it until like the day before. So, but I've been enjoying participating in that and kind of figuring out the puzzle to figure out what might work in some of the prompts. So we'll see. And other than that, for May, I do not I don't have a lot planned. The tiny town, the seaside tiny town, you know, I haven't done any of the tiny towns. I do own, I think, the blooming one. I don't necessarily want to stitch them as is, but I don't know exactly how I want to stitch them. But the seaside is so cute. So you know I will have to pick that one up when it comes out. I just haven't done so yet. All right, I have a piece of happy mail, and it is a beautiful thank you card from Laura. So thank you so much. Isn't that lovely? So fun. I really enjoyed getting that. I love the colors. My mom, she had a Christmas cactus, and I'm dreadful with plants. My mom was able to keep plants alive. Right now in the home, she can't. She doesn't really have the space, and I'm not sure she would remember to take care of them properly, but she was really good at it. And her Christmas cactus twice a year would bloom, and it was so beautiful every time it bloomed. I think it bloomed before Christmas. I want to say more sort of towards Thanksgiving, and then it would bloom a second time, maybe in the late spring. I don't really remember, but I do remember it blooming multiple times, which is kind of fun. So that makes me think of her. So thank you. Alrighty. Shopping. I have a little bit of shopping to show you. I did get my fabric of the month from Grace Notes Fabrics, and if you do not want to see it, I am in the colors, not the neutrals, and I get 18 count Aida, and so again, you know, everything is always different. It's called, I wanted to say Maestro, but it's Maestosa. Maestosa? Close enough, right? So look away if you do not want to see it, and I will show it to you. And it is an interesting fabric because in different lights, it looks different colors. And you can, I mean, obviously there's multiple colors in it. It's a two-tone sort of, but that base color right now looks a certain color, but then in different light, it'll show up differently. So it's really kind of cool. I don't know what I'm going to use to stitch on it yet. You can look back, it's down. I'm going to put that over there, back in the fabric area. So that was that. And then I have one other thing to show you. So such a saga. I am sometimes making decisions. Sometimes I can make decisions in a heartbeat, and then I hem and I haw other times. So a very wonderful, sweet friend, when I was feeling low a few weeks ago, she sent me as a pick-me-up a gift certificate to Ink Circles. And how lovely of her. I have an Ink Circles that I want to stitch, and I love looking at them. But there was one that she had thought of me for, but she didn't want to just buy that in case I didn't want it. So she sent me the gift certificate, which was lovely. And so I went and I looked, and I did get the one that she had thought of me for, because it's great. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna hem and a haw, because I was gonna get another one. I couldn't decide. So I said, okay, I'll give it a few days. Then I decided, but I couldn't decide paper or digital. When I went back to it, I said, okay, I'm just going to do digital. I'm going to do digital. That's fine. With paper, I'd probably be making a working copy anyway, so let's just do digital. I couldn't remember the second one, so then I had to do shopping again. And I think what I ended up buying for the second one was different than what I originally had thought. So this was a whole saga, but I eventually did use her gift set. So thank you, friend. It took me a while, and I was in my own head for much of it, but I did get it. So the first one I'm going to show you, I finally picked these up, and I was super excited to show you. This first one, you know how she is the reflections of and various places. This one is reflections of Ireland. And so we have the claddagh, and we have, there's shamrocks and Celtic crosses, and there's the pipe and the rainbow, you know, kind of pot of gold, all that. So it's super fun. So I picked that one up. I really like that. I have no idea what floss I would use on that. I might actually have to use a variegated floss on that one. And then this is what I went through, and I went through all, I don't know, 12 pages or whatever it is, multiple times, because she has such great patterns at Ink Circles. And I love watching people stitch them. I really do. And I ended up picking up, what's this one called? Seasonal Sunshine, which I could use today as some sun. Isn't that cool? I love the colors. I love the look. I love kind of the different nod to all the seasons. And I mean, it's cool. If you were really good, you could do it as a cube. You know that's not how I'm going to stitch it, but so lovely. Really fun. I really like that one a lot. I love all the accessory colors to the sun kind of idea and the different designs. It's really kind of cool. So those are the pieces I picked up, and I'll be looking forward to stitching them. How big is this one? I don't think stitch count was given on that one in the notes, but I liked it so much. I'm like, I'm getting it. I don't care how big or small or whatever the size is on that one. So those are the ink circles that I got. So I'm looking forward to finding a floss color for the Reflections of Ireland. And on this one, it's basically full coverage. So I don't necessarily need to do it on a hand-dyed fabric. I might do it more on a grayish type of thing, given the color of the border is purplish and then all the other colors. I might do it that way. So that would be easy. So I just have to kit it up and I can get going on that one. So that's the shopping. That's what I have. And moving on. Giveaways. I do have, like I said, I ordered from Kimberly from To Dye for Fabrics because she had a fabric that I think I'd like to, actually I could even use it for this if I wanted to, depending on how much I have and what I need for. But so I have fabric coming. I might have, oh, I have the Bestitchme fabric of the month coming. I did get a notice from them saying that that had shipped. So that's coming at some point. And then, do I have anything else coming? That's all I know of. I don't think so. I think that's it. So, you know me. I'll find a fabric at some point. And there's just fabric coming because I love my fabrics. Alrighty. So, oh, that's the last one. That's it for the stitching. Let's talk giveaways. I heard from everybody. Yay! So all of the old giveaways have been claimed. There was something up. I don't know if my mailman was on vacation this week. So I did hold them because delivery was weird and we weren't getting the mail. Like we didn't get our flyers when we were supposed to and other stuff. So I was worried about putting the giveaways in there because I want to make sure they don't get thrown somewhere in a corner and then you wait on them. So I'm hoping that my mailman's back next week. Otherwise, I'll take the trip down. The post office in Rehoboth is actually on the strip where the beach is. It's starting to pick up traffic-wise in the middle of summer. Whew, there are some parking spots dedicated to it, but, you know, it's tough to get in and out of there in the middle of the summer. Right now, I might still be able to do that. But if the mailman's back, I'll just throw them in there and let him take care of it. So they are coming, but thank you. Everybody has claimed them, so we're good. All right, so this week's, I talked about this, you could call it an Ort holder, a thread bed, whatever you want to do. Allegro Stitches. Amy Clarissa. Look how beautiful the back is. So gorgeous. And I asked you, nice little snap. I asked you to say the word wings in your comment if you were interested in having your name in the blue bowl. I still use the blue bowl. Unless I have multiples, then it's just out of the bag. Alrighty, so here we go. Mixing it all around and separate them. Who's my winner? Barb Hansen. Congratulations, Barb. If you could, and I don't remember, Barb, I never remember who has won before and who hasn't won before. I always ask, even if you've won before, if you could give me your name again. Sometimes people move. I did have that for somebody who had won more than once and they had moved. So that was really helpful. And I think in my, I go through Pirate Ship and I do it that way and I get the labels printed out. They might remember names, but I don't know exactly 100%. So I always ask if you do win more than once. And I don't know, Barb, if you have, but if you could always give me your address again, just to be on the safe side, to make sure I get it right, you know, out to you, the right address and all of that. So you can always send me an email to my Gmail account, which is listed down below, or a DM to my Instagram account, which is Paper Laura, and that's listed down below. My Instagram was created before I was stitching, and it's my free-for-all. I don't designate like personal and crafting, and that was what I was using for my business and everything, all in one stop. So that's just the way it is. So yeah, that's why it's got the Paper Laura name. Anyway, this week's giveaway. So I really enjoyed doing the shopping at Ink Circles. So I am going to offer a $10 gift certificate to Ink Circles for anybody who puts their name in, for the person who wins. It was super easy. The way I looked at it, because I looked at how to give one, and I think the way she's got it listed, it's listed as a $1, but then you just say in your quantity, and that's, so I do $10. And then it looks like once I know who it is, I can say what address to send it to, email address, and then you can go shopping. And you can get paper with those as well. You don't have to get just digital. She does have the paper on there as well. So that's an option for you. So what would you say? Since I really, really, really love that sun piece, I'm going to ask you to say the word sun, S-U-N. Oh, there's more than one. So S-U-N, because that's the one I'll search for, not the other one. And we could really use some sunshine right now. So if you say the word sun, I will put your name in the blue bowl and I will pick a winner next video. Thank you. All right, now that's all the stitching. All done. No more stitching to talk about. If that's all you are here for, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you have a fantastic week of stitching and life and everything else that's going on. And I will see you next time. If you are here for all of the other life stuff, yay! Thank you for staying and thank you for being interested. And not to say if you're not, that's cool too. I mean, I know you're busy. You got stuff going on. So if you don't want to hear people talking about the extra stuff, I get it. No problem. It doesn't hurt my feelings in the least. I'm not the super exciting person, so it's not like there's these really great stories I've got to tell. Anyway, I am snuffly. I went to the eye doctor this week. I found a new eye doctor, really loved him. It is the cleanest doctor's office I have ever seen in my life. I walked in, it's decorated beautifully, and oh, it's so nice. Anyway, I liked him, which is good. So, you know, another doctor I found to transition down here from Connecticut. But, you know, I was talking about, you know, I get the pressure here, which is bothering my eyes. And is there anything I can do? And not a lot with, I guess there's antihistamine eye drops, but he said that won't help here. And I can't take traditional antihistamines. So I'm kind of stuck with it. But he did say this time of year right now is the absolute worst down here for allergies. So I was like, yay. No wonder I'm so miserable. But yeah, so I mean, I'm from Connecticut, so I know I have a New England nasally sort of voice to begin with, but it's more particularly nasally now because I completely stopped up. Anyway, so I apologize. I'm starting to sniffle, I think, a little bit because I can hear it going. So this week, that was my big adventure. I went to the eye doctor. Actually, it's funny. Mo went the same day. And then I think next year I go one day at 8:10 and he goes the next day at 8:10. So we're just, luckily, my glasses slightly changed a little tiny bit, but they said not really worth it to change the lenses. And he checked, I thought there was a scratch on one of them, but he said it looks fine. So I didn't have to do new glasses this year, which was nice. Because you never know, right? But we do, you know, I think every couple of years I am allowed through whatever we have, they'll pay for a good portion of the glasses, which is nice in case you need it, right? But so anyway, that is still the same. It was of course, that was the sunny, bright day. And they, you know, they put the drops in your eyes so they can check all that stuff. It was the most painful drop. They gave me, you know, those little things that you put, the little, you know, funny sun things that they give you because I didn't have my sunglasses with me. But it's still, the sun was so bright and it was coming from every direction. And this office was maybe 5 to 7 minutes from my house. So it wasn't like I had a long drive, thank goodness. But I was never so happy to come home. And for about 3-4 hours before my eyes got back to normal. And I went into the pantry and I was like, oh, it is so nice in here because my house has a good amount of windows. So it's a fairly bright house, which I normally love, but not when my eyes are like that. So anyway, that was kind of, I didn't do a lot of stitching until later on in the day on that day because my eyes kind of hurt, to be honest with you. And it was just the light. The light was what hurt the eyes. The eyes were fine otherwise, but, and they got a clean bill of health, which is good. They do, it's funny because for years, every time I've gone to the eye doctor, you know how they do the puff of air, which I really don't like. I don't like it all. But this eye doctor, they do drops that numb your eyeballs for like 15 minutes. And it's like this bright yellow drop. So, you know, you're cleaning yourself off and there's yellow coming off. And then they do some sort of blue light, like right up to your eyeball or something or other. They don't touch it, but it's right up. It was the strangest thing. I don't know. Is that the way people do it now? I mean, she was like, no, we don't do the puff of air. I didn't know what was coming otherwise, but it was just a strange feeling because you could kind of feel, and obviously she's like, don't rub your eye hard because, you know, the eye was numb, so you could hurt your eye. A very odd feeling. Has anybody else done that? That was kind of weird. Anyway, that was my adventure, and like I said, I didn't get much stitching done for a good portion of that day just because I don't even really know what I did. I think I wanted to either sit in the pantry or my closet because it was nice and not dark, but shaded. Do you know what I mean? But I just put down shades and everything else and just tried to muddle through. And then Mo, he was the same way all afternoon because he had an appointment in the afternoon. And so then his eyes were bad up until the night. So I was like, well, then it's going to get dark and we're going to be fine anyway. What I did want to talk about, I did have many of you say that you would be interested in a potential live, you know, like Q&A, like a Zoom for the scrapbook, or even if you weren't scrapbooking, you could stitch while we're talking, and I would probably be doing the scrapbooking while we were Zooming, and there's lots of different ways to do it. And I think what I'm going to do is I did create a Facebook page. Now, I know some of you don't like Facebook, so we'll talk about that in a minute. It's Stitching by the Shore - Laura. So that will be a spot where I will put information about things like Zooms or other stuff. And also feel free. I think I'm going to create an album and do all that and have it in a spot of all my stitching. And obviously, if you would like to join and you would like to do that as well, I would love to see it because then we can have another way we can interact and see everybody's stitching. So I've had business Facebook pages where you could like or follow, but I've never done something like this. So I think I have it set up right. You'll have to answer questions. If you don't answer questions, it won't, you know, it'll knock you out kind of thing. And if you answer questions, then I can approve the things. So you have to click, you agree to the rules, which are the standard Facebook group rules that you see everywhere, and then just answer the questions. They're really easy. They're stitching ones. Type of thing. But, you know, if you, you know, I'd want to show the scrapbooking pieces, I'd want to show crafting and any other types of crafts, whatever it happens to be. Many of you are quilters or crocheters or knitters, and I would love to see that too, because I always appreciate it. I just can't do it. But anyway, if you're interested, it is, I believe, Stitching by the Shore with a little dash, and it says Laura on it. So if you just search that, and then when I have a time, a day time and what the meeting ID and password would be, I would put it in the Facebook group. If you cannot or don't want access to Facebook, absolutely fine. We could either go, I could give you the information if you're interested through an email. You would just email my Gmail account, or we can do it through Instagram if you prefer Instagram over Facebook. They're owned by the same company at this point, so it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another. And always remember, like with Facebook, you don't have to accept anybody else. If you just want to do stitching stuff, you can keep it just stitching. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I absolutely understand or respect if you do not want to go anywhere near it. There are lots of other ways we can share so that you can be a part of something. So don't worry about that. And in regards to Zoom, somebody had said that they had never Zoomed before. Until maybe 6-8 months ago, I Zoomed once and it was a disaster, and I didn't for 2 years. So I totally understand that. And if you want me to walk you through something of how all of it goes and does, I would be happy to. So that if you want to be included, but you're a little, you know, unsure or wary or don't know what to do, reach out, because I was in that boat. I still half the time don't know what I'm doing with Zoom. I know how to do the basics. I'm kind of, you know how just to do just enough that you can be dangerous? That's me. So, but I would be happy to help anybody who is not sure. And I have people to reach out to if I have questions, because they're much better and smarter with Zoom than I am. So I will always do that if I need to. But feel free. I don't want anybody to ever feel left out. We'll find a way to help you and get you involved with the situation if you're interested. If you're not, it's okay too. I had created the Facebook group, but then I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to want to join. I mean, I don't know. So, but a friend of mine encouraged me with that, and so I'm going to go for it. It's there if you want to be a part of it, and if you don't, that's cool too. Other than that, not a lot. Sad news, my neighbors, my next door neighbors, they are building a new house elsewhere, and they put their house on the market, and of course it's a beautiful house. It sold like within a weekend. So we're losing my wonderful neighbors right next here. I can see their house out this window. They're only gonna be about 10 minutes away, and it's awesome for them, and I wish them the best, but I'm sad for me because they are super nice. So fingers crossed that the new people that bought the house will be nice so that we have nice neighbors. I don't know anything about them, so we'll see. But, you know, life changes and moves on. People come and they go, and you just got to adapt and change the best you can. So that's what I'm trying to do. Alrighty. Other than that, I am in rain mode. It started today, and I think heavy a lot of times, otherwise light, but basically rain until Monday morning. And then I'm not even really sure what's happening after that. And I don't necessarily think the temps are going to be like a 70-degree, rainy, kind of warm day. I think it's going to be cold and chilly, and I have a feeling I'm going to be wearing long sleeves and sweatshirts. And it's going to be May 1st, and I'm going to be chilly. So I really don't have, well, Megan has a game, her very last game of her lacrosse career ever is tomorrow. So we will, of course, go up to Pennsylvania for that last game and wear lots of rain gear. It's like, I guess, you know, the universe wanted me to experience all those cold, rainy, wet games, practices, and extra that I've lived through over the years between both kids, and finish it off with a bang. So I'll be pulling out the umbrella and the raincoats and everything else. And then Tuesday is Connor's birthday. Connor will be 20 years old. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. I think of him as this little tiny kid. This 9-pound baby that was just so adorable. And I just can't, it just blows my mind that he'll be 20 next week. So he is in the middle. I think today is the last day of classes, and so he'll be in the middle of finals. Unfortunately, in college, every year for his birthday is finals week. So he's just going to have to deal with it. He's a sophomore. He's only got 2 more years of it, and then real life sets in, right? So that's that. So we'll chat with him. We'll probably FaceTime him for his birthday, and then when he gets back, we'll kind of do a birthday celebration-ish thing. But he told us there's a list. He has a list of things that we may or may not want to buy him for his birthday. So no worries about not knowing what to get him. I love him. He always has lists. He's like, hey, if you want to get me XYZ, here you go. Even as a kid with Christmas and stuff, he would always have the lists. It's great. So anyway, that is on tap for next week. And then that's about it. So I am going to drink my tea. Today is my favorite, is my cranberry spice hibiscus, which I can only get in the fall. So I bought extra, and every other day I have a cup of it because I don't have enough to have it every day until it comes back again. So that's my tea for the day, and I'm going to enjoy it after this as the video uploads. And I think this weekend's going to be just a gray weekend, so I'm just going to have to deal with it. Hopefully, maybe I'll get some good stitching in. We'll see. And that's about it. I hope you are well. I hope you are safe. I hope maybe the weather's a little bit better where you are than where I am right now. who knows? I hope you get lots of stitching time in, or whatever you consider as self-care. Taking rest time, taking time for yourself, it is super, super important. It is the most important thing you can do for yourself. So do it, take it, don't feel guilty about it, feel good about it, and you matter. So you need to take care of yourself. That's about it. Hope you got lots of stitching. I can't seem to make these shorter no matter what I do. So I hope you like the longer videos. And until next time, happy stitching.